Good evening, and welcome to another session of I Expect Progress. Tonight, we will be talking about breaking the stigma. We will have two of our lovely guests on tonight representing for our lovely college, Elizabeth City State University, Viking Pride. I'm going to allow them to go ahead and introduce themselves. First, I will have Miss Bass.
Hello, I am Javonte Bass, a licensed clinical mental health counselor in Raleigh, North Carolina. I own a private practice called Let's Cope Counseling Services, which actually is now a group practice as of this year. I serve all populations, but primarily children and adolescents.
Awesome.
Okay, and I am Miss Keiranni Plummer. I am an LPC out of Virginia, Norfolk, Virginia. I am currently working in private practice as well, and I service couples, individuals, and teens. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Welcome, ladies. So we'll go ahead and get started. The first question that we have for our panelists tonight will be, what is the number one issue or concern that you see when giving therapy to African American patients? I will let Ms. Plummer go ahead and answer that.
For me, I cannot say that I see concerns necessarily. I think that working with African American clients is very familiar. So I can understand and relate to the cultural aspect of things. And once they bring their child to therapy, they've done their part and they work with me. I've had very good experiences, so I can't say that I have any concerns. Now, maybe in the community realm, there might have been concerns, but it wasn't specific to the African American population.
Thank you. Ms. Bass?
Okay, so some concerns as far as with children, right?
Yeah.
So I've worked in public school settings as well as a school-based therapist. So I've seen in intensive in-home settings. So I've seen literally all different angles when it comes to mental health. I've also worked in a psychiatric hospital children's wing. So some of the concerns I've seen is parents being upset. Like right now in private practice, parents being upset because I can't tell them what their child is telling me. And so they feel, they get upset and they're just like, well, this isn't working. And then they expect it to be like a magic pill. After one session, the behaviors are gone. And it's not really how it works. So that's two concerns I've seen. I think one of my biggest ones is, as the generations progress, a lot of kids are coming out as far as their gender and what their sexual identity and what they identify as a gender. And being that some of the parents are older, they're like, no, we're not having this. Coming from a spiritual standpoint too, a lot of us was raised, Christian, and the way these children are growing up now and the access they have to social media and stuff like that, they're exploring their gender identity, and the parents are not in agreement with that. And with me being an ally, I have to be an ally. I am, their therapist. I cannot judge. I'm not biased, and I don't push my opinion on anyone. They find it difficult because it's like they want me to, what they used to have back in the conversion therapy. They want me to change their child. And that has been one of my battles most recently.
Wow. Mm-hmm. And that's real. I'm not even going to touch on that because, like what you said, with this age right here, I mean, just dealing with my son and what he's dealing with one of his friends who just came out, and I was like, "What?
Your son's he's young, right?
He's 11.
11, right?
And a young lady that they've been talking."
But I would say that's like specific to, that's why I wouldn't say like just to the African American community, because for me, it's all across the board. I see, a lot of different, older parents and, but some of my Black parents are like, they're open. They're just like, they don't understand it, which
Right.
A lot of them don't. A lot of parents don't understand the pronouns and, they want to be gender neutral and they want to be called them and they, they're like, what? They don't understand that. And so just having to break that down for older parents, for Caucasian parents, for Black parents, for Asian parents, it's a process.
It is. And isn't it crazy how that they feel like, oh, you think you're gay, you need therapy. How is that automatically mental health? Oh no, you need therapy because you think you gay. Okay, now what about is there any other solution? No, you just need therapy because now something's mentally going on because you're gay. Why?
One of the things that I've seen was the depression part, because the depression that comes from that is because, okay, you're not accepting me and you're my parent and I don't have the support, so now I'm depressed. Yeah. So now you think you're just working on the depression part, when really what needs to work on as a whole is you accepting your child and what they feel like they're going through at that moment. And a lot of them it's just a phase. Okay, if it is a phase, let's support them. Mm-hmm. But I understand too, because I'm a parent as well, but I know it's different between the generations.
Exactly.
It is. And do you feel, this is one of the questions, do you feel that our African American parents are less supportive of these things compared to our other parents?
I'll let Keiranni have that one, because honestly, if we're gonna be honest, I work with it. I'll say that I accept any clients. I do have a few that are white Americans. I have Asian American. I have quite a few clients, but my population has predominantly always been African Americans. So I don't know if that's just, it's not, I don't serve a specific population, but that has been so I can't compare.
Right. But from what you see on your end, a lot of not having it.
Oh, yeah, no. I have a lot of kids right now in therapy because, and I'm just like, hey, parent, you're the problem. It's not them. But I can't say it that way, but I want to.
Yeah.
Let me see. Compared to, I don't know. I mean, okay, we know within the Black community that, that's the thing, right? We know that. So, from just experience of myself as a Black person in the culture, okay, maybe. But as a therapist, I can't say that more of my Black parents have not been on board. I can't speak to that. I can't say that, because some of them have been open, and some of them have been like, okay, they're going to be what they are, but they're not going to change their gender until they get out of my house. That type of thing.
Yeah.
I've
that makes sense.
And some of, maybe some of them are not willing to necessarily say, well, I'm gonna call them a different name. Sometimes that's maybe they might push it on, like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not calling you a boy when you are not a boy.
I'm Tony. I'm
right.
I'm not telling you today. I'm Tony.
Right. Right. So, but then I've also had, Caucasian parents. It's like, I'm not calling you that. I'm not doing that. So, it could go any way. But I just can't say it's specific to one population. But I know that that's just the stigma of the Black community, that we're not as accepting.
And that's what we're here. We're here to break stigmas.
That's right.
All right. So what is the history behind the stigma of Black people don't do therapy? Ms. Bass?
I think it all goes back to just how we were raised spiritually, culturally. When it comes to Black families, we keep our business in the family. It's not everyone else's business, and you're bringing an outsider and telling your business that's an issue, as well as go pray about it, believing that Jesus is, now me, I believe, I'm a believer. I have my own beliefs. I don't put it, I'm not a faith-based therapist, though. When it comes to therapy, that's separate. Right. But believing that just praying it away is the solution. But I think that's kind of been instilled. Just go to your pastor, go to the mothers of the church. They're going to lay hands on you. They're going to get the white sheet. And that's what we're going to do. But when actuality, therapy is needed as well. Medication can be needed sometimes. So I think culturally, that's just been our thing. And then a lot of us, I can say like Black women, we are so strong that we just kind of push through things and we don't think twice about it. It happens, we get over it, and we push through it. I don't have time for therapy. I don't need therapy. I got over this. I can get over that. I'm strong. I'm resilient, and I think that's been a thing too.
Come on, talk to me, Miss Plummer.
I think, it also goes back to not letting the white man into your house because they might take your kids and all of these things. And most in the past, when you think of therapy, it was always a white therapist. That's mainly what was out there. And so people are like, I'm not going to talk to them. What can they say for me? What can they teach me? So that's the mindset. I can say that I was one of those people. When I was a teenager, therapy, what? I'm not going to talk to nobody.
Mm-hmm.
But when I think now, I'm like, I wish I would have had somebody to talk to help me navigate that, because I, might have not wanted to talk to my parents.
Right.
And so, I think just that stigma of what goes on in this house stays in this house. We're not going it. We're not telling nobody because they want to take you, and all of these things. And so I think we've kind of just shied away from like, what can they tell me? Because they don't know my life. They can't relate to me. And so that's why I think it's so important that we do have Black therapists, and, that we are available to see our own, because it is important for you to be able to relate when you're coming into the therapy room. And, and a lot of my clients say, I look for you. I look for somebody of color, and so, and it's chemistry in the therapy room. Like, we relate, and so it works. So I think, just that notion of thinking that you have to go sit down and talk to somebody that is different from you.
Mm-hmm.
And also a part of our topic is breaking the stigma. Silence hurts. So when I see this, Black people don't do therapy, I automatically, assimilate that with what goes on in this house stays in this house, and how that has hurt so many people.
Yes.
Even growing up, thinking about the things that my friends or myself went through, and even though your parent didn't look at you and say, "What happened in this house? Stay in this house." You hear that amongst your family, your friends, and so you're like, oh, so that means whatever happened in here, that just stays in here. So that means I got to fight this battle alone. I got to do this alone. How do you think that not even a question, but how do you think that traumatizes a child as having to keep that silence in? How do you think that's traumatizing our children today? You can go ahead, Ms. Bass.
So I think it comes more of us having to hide our feelings, our emotion, and not speaking on how we feel. I'm real big on emotional expression and crying and all that, because I have a little boy, and the last thing I'm teaching him is you can't cry. No, you can cry. Now you're not going to throw a tantrum in this house over nothing.
Right.
We're going to express our way, in a healthy way. But I think just not being able to express yourself is one of the issues that we have, and that's been instilled in us. Just like, no, you can't express yourself. No, you can't have an opinion. And you talk that so young, so as you get older, it's just like nobody really cares about my opinion, so I'm going to be silenced.
Right. Wow. Ms. Plummer.
And I would say, I think, like you said, it definitely traumatizes. It causes trauma, and then that aggression and anger, that reactiveness that we tend to have. And so many people say within the Black community, we're considered to be angry or aggressive, and a lot of that stems from hush trauma and not being able to really express yourself, and just the standards of what a man is. A Black man is supposed to be this tough guy, and he's not supposed to be able to be vulnerable. And so, a lot of that, it turns into anger, and it makes people be reactive. It causes just a lot of just that whole cycle. I think it links to so many things, poverty,
right,
and just a lot of different things that it can stem to, and And so that's why if you're going through something, if you're struggling, if you need any, if you haven't even experienced trauma, but you need somebody to talk to just to navigate your everyday life, that's what therapy is for. It does not even have to be something so serious. You know, you just might need a sounding board that makes sense, you know? And so you want to go and talk to somebody, and that's, you know, that's fine. It's called adjustment, phases of life. There's so many different, you know, things that we can work with you on, and it doesn't have to be so heavy, and then it can be, and we're here to bear it all. So come talk to us.
I'm smiling hard like this because let me tell y'all something, and I know we're recording. It really irritates me calling y'all by y'all last name for real, for real. But then also just to hear y'all talk, Keiranni is like my therapist for real. So just to hear her say that, you know, I might have to stop recording.
Do not make me roll my eyes.
They need to see the raw emotions.
They do, but I mean, yeah. Therapy helps. Therapy helps. Okay.
Oh, it's okay. Is this therapeutic for you?
Into a session. We need to put it into a session.
Just talking about this is doing something to you. You know, just a conversation. Look how simple this can be.
Okay,
right?
Keiranni. Okay, Keiranni. Okay, Keiranni.
I'm speaking to the audience.
No, you're not.
So that they can see
that
there can just be a conversation.
This is why I did not want to get on this one. Okay. Is seeking therapy a safe place for African Americans? Yep, that's the question mark. How can we as a community trust therapists due to our daunting history of oppression? Is seeking therapy a safe place for African Americans? How can we as a community trust therapists to our daunting history of oppression?
I mean, it's just the understanding that confidentiality is a huge part of, like, first of all, it's our code of ethics. In there, do no harm is like one of the major ones that I know I definitely abide by. And by doing no harm, that's making sure that you have a safe space to talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. In my first session, when we do the intake, I go ahead and let them know, hey, listen, this is a safe space. Anything you tell, especially my kids, anything you tell me, I cannot tell anyone else. I always tell my children, I am like a diary. The great thing about me is your parents can't read me.
Yeah.
So I want you to feel your safest with me. Because if you're holding back and not being transparent, then I can't help you.
That's right.
Sorry, that's rain. And my son has track practice, but I guess that's canceled. But so, and then one of the other things is to remind people that this is a safe space and you don't have to worry about me as far, I can only speak for myself, but me breaking your confidentiality, excuse me, is because that degree is on this wall right here. I'm still 100,000 in debt for that thing. So if I lose my license, I lose everything. And I can't pay my loans back. So the last thing I'm going to do is jeopardize that.
Right. Right. Miss Plummer?
I would say if you're struggling with the notion of, how can I, as a Black person, trust a therapist? Maybe find one that looks like you, right?
Yep.
That, you can start there. I know for me, confidentiality is key. Being honest up front is key. So I tell people automatically, I'm going to be, everything is confidential unless you say what you're suicidal, like if I have suicidal ideations, homicidal ideations, or there's a serious CPS allegation, like a child abuse allegation, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's when I do have to break confidentiality.
Mm-hmm.
So I let you know what that looks like, to all my clients, so that it's not a shock if it comes up or happens. So, with the idea of parents who might spank their child, it's not illegal to spank your child, right? I'm not going to call CPS for that. But if I know that if your child is coming to see me and I know that, it's, maybe they are having a bunch of marks on them or a black eye or, just something that's just, like, no, and so, yes, that would have to happen. But therapy is not a place where we're ready to take your children. We just want to help you. And so I think, just to start, maybe finding somebody that looks like you, because, sometimes it's just harder for people to trust somebody who they cannot relate to.
Right. And I agree with you.
I do have one comment, and this is, I'm not shading any social workers when I say this, but I will say the good thing about the credentials that Keiranni and I have is that when people see our letters and they understand that we're not social workers, the first thing that'll come to mind is, oh, you CPS, you taking our kids, like, because it's like a stigma attached to social workers that you're just here to take my kids. Yeah. I even remember thinking about that, like when I first started my program. Well, before I started, I was like, I don't want to be no social worker to take people's kids. I don't have time to be fighting. But I will say that kind of helps me a little bit, because I'm just like, you don't identify me with that.
Right.
Counselor, I am not.
Yes. And again, no shade to the social workers. We do the same thing. Our program is better. Just kidding.
But no, they're good. They're good, and they help, and they do the same thing. You could sit with a social worker and do therapy as well, and they're not trying to take your kids. It's the same thing.
But it's all in how you're built, because I have sat in an office with a social worker, and yeah, she was like my therapist, like for real. When I was going to Elizabeth City State and driving back and forth, and I had to meet up with her so I could get a traveler's check. Woo, child, that was a blessing. But I would meet up with her every week just because I was able to confide in her and talk to her about all the things that I was dealing with. So you are so right. But I've also sat in that room with a social worker that looked just like me. And it's like that whole demeanor, like everything that I say, oh, what? Oh, you need money for this? What? So it can be kind of upsetting when you know that you feel like you could talk to this person, and then you need this person in a time of moment, you really need them, but then you feel like they're not receiving what you're saying correctly, that they just turning everything around on you, like you the person, like you the culprit, you're the person you're the reason why this is happening. So I don't know how I was trying to word that, but
I get it.
I was saying.
But a good thing that you brought up is that you might have a therapist that you might go see that is a Black therapist, and you're not connecting with them. Don't stop there. That does not mean that there's not another Black therapist out there that can work with you, because everybody personality is not going to match.
Nope.
So just don't stop because somebody might rub you the wrong way one time, because it is other therapists out there. And I've had clients who have had other therapists, and and then they came to me, and I was like, well, thank you for not stopping, thank you for continuing to seek that help, because that can be intimidating in that process.
It can. Thank you for cleaning that up. Clean up,
whether it's a social worker or a therapist.
I've honestly had multiple. Well, like after I had my son, when I was in grad school, I had one and we didn't connect. I didn't make it back after like 2-3 sessions. I was like, this isn't it. And then I had one that was faith-based because I thought maybe that's what I wanted. We didn't connect. And I was like, and this is no offense to my faith-based ones, but she wanted to pray before every session. I was like, ma'am, can we just get to my trauma? Because I don't have time for this.
Right. Like, come on. And see, but I feel like as a woman of God and also being led by the Spirit, you should know that, okay, today I can't just go straight into praying. Let me pray before you get here. And so when you come in here, I've done set the vibe, and now I could just let you go ahead and pour it all out.
Right. And she was, yeah. But then I had another one who actually was white, and she was younger than me. And then I had actually been licensed a lot longer than she had. So I was like, man, they give me this inexperience. That was my thoughts.
Right.
It was really good, and we connected. But in agencies, people come and go when it comes to mental health in the agencies. The therapists will flip out real quick, like they're gone in and out. So she left, and then I ended up getting a Black lady, and I've been with her since 2018 and have not left. I was like, ma'am, you stuck with me for the rest of your life, so don't plan on closing your private practice.
I got to find me one. I had a really good one. When I left North Carolina, I had one on the beach. And she was a very sweet lady. I felt it was very calm, cool, collected. She was white. And I felt like we were able to connect because, I got my tendencies where I can, I can blend in a little bit, and I thought we did good. But then out of nowhere, it's just like she shifted. I think it was because of something that I had exposed to her about what had happened to me as a child. And she was like, the way that she said it, you're not supposed to make me feel bad or make me feel that somebody that I love so dear is a bad person. And when I told her about what someone did to me, and she was like, she made a face like, I was like, oh, I know you're not talking about my mama. So then I was done. That was it. She ain't never see me again. And I mean, that it's just something so small like that. How do you guys hold your faces together? Because I always thought that really was just all in the bloodline of some of y'all. But you got to be tough, and it's tough for me. So how do you hold your face together to not just throw the whole session out the window?
It really depends on the session, but if I don't with the facial expressions. I'm still working on that because
you
getting all this in the face. Like I'm going like this. I have one. I have one where I could not keep my composure. This person pretty much confided in me that they had committed a homicide before. And if there is no immediate danger, then we cannot report. This is not reportable information. This happened in the past. Right. And of course, they're obviously free. So they were never caught. And so I was in the therapy session like, so it's murder? Is that what you're telling me? I think that was like my break into the mental health where I was like, all right, I done seen it all, heard it all now at this point. So trauma and stuff, it's just like, okay, I used to get real emotional when I was younger, but it's like now that I feel like I'm seasoned after like 5 years. I feel seasoned.
Oh yeah.
I'm able to just like, compose myself because I try not to internalize everyone else's trauma because then that would traumatize me even more. I got enough going on.
I struggle with that with my kids. Go ahead.
I think I'm I'm a flat person anyway. So, sometimes I can be kind of like, yeah, okay. So I think that sometimes I just keep the same face, like, like I'm listening, like I'm all and then sometimes now if I have if we have a good rapport, I'd be like, girl, I give them the looks like that.
Definitely. But like you thought, really.
Yeah. Or I'd be like, now but when it's something like they're sharing me with their trauma and things like that, because some of the stuff and some of the stuff that the people that the stuff is coming from, sometimes you're just like, sometimes I'm just like amazed. And so I'm just like, wow. I'm just like really into their story. And so I don't know.
Girl,
that's just me.
To sum it up, we can't. I don't think it is.
I know I wouldn't make it. Was COVID going on when he had or they had disclosed that?
Yeah, but we were virtual then, thankfully. Because listen, I ain't gonna lie, I was like, we might not do in-person sessions.
Yeah.
So, get mad with me and then I up and disappear. What a letter, just in case y'all don't see me. I met this person on this day, and this is what they said. Honey, I would have to have my mask on.
Your eyes
Your eyes
so
say everything, boo.
And I'm
Your
like,
eyes. But I think, you just, it is what it is. If you have, it goes back to that rapport.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a good rapport, then they kind of get you, and they know what certain looks mean, or what. So I think it goes back to your rapport.
okay.
If somebody new, you try to keep it neutral.
Oh yeah, most definitely. You try. Yeah.
Try.
But then you be like,
definitely. That's
but see, you are very animated with your face anyway, so
that is true.
I was with a student today trying to tutor, and he was like, my hand is cramping. I said, so how many paragraphs did you write? I'm on the third sentence.
See all of that.
I said, bro, we're gonna have to get another session in. Your mama about to be paying for 2 extra sessions already. Straight the gate. Let me write this down. And he was like, are you mad with me? I was like, no, sweetie, I'm not mad with you. I'm just thinking on the inside, I'm thinking like cha-ching, but then on the outside, I'm like, your hand cramping. Well, what you gonna do when these schools open back up? Now, my kids, Lord, they're gonna struggle. They're gonna struggle. Okay, focus. Let's stay focused. Okay, here we go. Okay, I think we done been up here for a long time, and it's thundering. And you know what Grandma and them say? You got to shut
everything. Let God work. Let
the Lord work. We're gonna do this very last question, and then that will be all. What are some identifying signs that parents should be able to see and be aware and say, oh, we should get therapy? Who wants to take that first? I done forgot who I left off with.
Go ahead.
I would say every parent really knows their child, right? So if your child is a child that's usually outgoing and talking and doing things, but if you notice that they start to withdraw, they're not talking as much, they're kind of staying off by themselves, maybe they're having severe aggression, maybe they're not doing as well in school, maybe if you see marks on them, on their wrists and things, and maybe it's hot outside and they always want to wear sweatshirts.
That's a big,
a
lot of my students, man. Go ahead.
It's so many different things that you can, if you know your child, you can see if their light is dimming, and you just really try to be in tune and pay attention, talk to your kids, see where they're at, see what they're going through. If they're going through a transition, if y'all move from one place to another, maybe they need to talk to somebody because they don't know anyone. If you are going through a divorce, maybe you want to put your child in therapy to kind of help them with that process. If you're, whatever, it's so many different transitions of life that a kid can go through. And so just having somebody to talk to, if they're going to high school, maybe they need to just talk to somebody because high school is hard.
It is.
So I think it's just a matter of talking to your child, being in tune, seeing what they need.
Wow. Good information. Good meat. All right. Dr. Bass.
You can put it in the atmosphere, but it ain't happening like 45 or 50. I had actually started the program, and then I realized it was a lot, and then the school closed, and I was like, that was God. And the school he knew I didn't want to be in this program. No way. I don't even know why I was here.
Look at God.
That was just impulse thing. But so I just pretty much summed up what she said. Notice the signs. You know your children better than anybody. And I by me having a little one, he's at the time. So when COVID first hit last year, oh child, this house was in shambles. I didn't know what my son was going through, and he's only 5, so it's like it was too early. I had been actually trying to get him therapy because I knew my son was different.
Yep.
From the moment I had him, and when he came out hollering, I said, "Oh, this is a different type of." But and the energy he has, so I was like, he probably has ADHD. And then as he got older, and he just like never stopped. He never took naps. He still don't like. In school, the teacher was like, he would just sit there and lay in bed with his eyes wide open on the cot. So I knew my son was different. So I knew immediately I wanted to get him some help with impulse control and managing his hyperactivity. It's literally just like, the signs, and don't be embarrassed about it. I also still suspect that my son is on the spectrum. I'm struggling right now with getting him tested through like the schools and stuff. But one of the things is just not being ashamed, because I would rather him have help than him be labeled in school as a bad kid because he has behaviors and they don't understand it.
Yeah.
We started early. So when COVID first hit, though, his behaviors kind of like intensified. It was like really bad meltdowns to the point where he would like scream for like 20 minutes. And my son is persistent. He gets that honest. I ain't even gonna lie. Like, I see so much of me and him. Like, he ain't gonna give up. He's not gonna back down. He has to be right. So he'll like, Mom, we can go for an hour. I can cry for an hour. Let's do this. And it just got so bad when COVID first hit. And I was like, you know what? I'm not thinking about the fact that he's experiencing this pandemic with me. Mm-hmm. For me to sit here and think about what I'm going through, he's going through it too. So just acknowledging that they're going through this adjustment just like everybody else. The biggest thing is these kids are in school, and the kids that are not logging on and the kids that are not doing their schoolwork and have lack of motivation and can't focus, understand that they are going through this pandemic the same as we are. You cannot expect a 10-year-old, or a 6-year-old to cope with it that easily. Nobody saw this happening. You just took their only means of social interaction away.
Yes.
And you expect them to just adjust and look at a computer screen all day? No. So just notice the signs, talk to your children. And I had a lot of kids that actually reached out and told their parents, hey, I want to talk to a therapist, because I think it's becoming so normalized. Like 12-year-olds was like, I told my mom I wanted to talk to somebody. And it's amazing.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That is awesome. I really wish that and I keep saying it, like, and it's not my mama's fault, but I really wish that our community, growing up, that it would have been okay if a teacher says, you might want to let her talk to someone. Maybe it didn't come out that right because it came from Miss Betty. Maybe it didn't come out right from her. But I think back on that and I'm like, Mom, I really wish that you probably would have took me somewhere and talked to somebody, because years after that, the things that happened after that, I mean, just a pile of trauma, drama, and just terrible situations that I did and things that I did and I went through. And I feel like that if I would have gotten help then, talked to someone then, even if I would have had a little blue pill, probably would zombied out a little bit, I probably would have been a much smoother person, because I mean, if you did something back then, I know that I would have been a better person now, because now as an adult, I'm still fighting with childhood things that have happened to me when I was probably like a toddler or infant. And it's stuff like that that's still lingering in me. And when I go, like, this was emotional to me because, I know I need therapy. I know I'm not consistent and I know I need therapy. And when I have a therapist, I feel like I'm a better person. Don't you think so, Key? Mm-hmm. When I don't have a therapist, honey, I am nothing but a water bag and just waiting to burst on somebody. That's why going to church on Sundays is my outlet. But therapy, man, I mean, really, I wish that our community and our family would say, you know what, it's nothing wrong with that. If you see something wrong with your grandchild or your aunts, whatever, cousins, grown folks, they can go and talk to somebody, even your grandparents. Sometimes I think back on some of the older people in my family and I'm like, baby, honey, you need a therapist. I don't care if you is 76, you need a therapist, because it's a lot of things that you are fighting with. And since you can't handle them at your age now, you're letting off all this negativity in different people's lives, and you don't understand why. You think that you're the best thing popping, but really you just shooting down everybody's happiness. Anyway, that's time. I truly thank you both for coming on this afternoon. Guys, stay tuned. There is more. This is another episode to just pack on with the other material that we will be posting this month for Mental Health Awareness Month. I hope that you are tuned in, locked in. Go ahead, like, share, and subscribe. Okay. I want to say Dr. Bass. Miss Bass, please let me know, how can they contact you?
So you can contact me by filling out a contact form at my website, www.letscopecounseling.com, and that's COPE. We also have a Facebook page, Let's Cope Counseling, and Instagram.
Awesome. And Dr. Plummer, everybody a doctor tonight.
I can be reached through my Psychology Today page. You just look up Keiranni Plummer, and my face should pop up in Google.
All right.
I'm the only one.
Yes,
It's our names. Our names are so unique. Like they really it's not hard to find us.
Right.
It's not. It's not.
That's not a good thing always, but
yeah, kind of is. I've been trying to change my name a little bit. I've been switching back and forth and stuff.
But yes, that you can find me there.
Yeah.
And I'll be taking new clients.
Yes.
Starting next week.
Mm-hmm.
Well, congratulations. Thank you both for coming on. And guys, we're going to say bye to you. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Keep waiting.